Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Jose Reyes, and I'm the director of the Miami Street Photography Festival. So I want to welcome you all tonight. Very happy to introduce Carl Juste as our speaker tonight. Under threat of persecution, Carl fled with his family from Haiti in 1965, settling in Miami's Haitian community. He flourished academically and won a scholarship to the University of Miami. Although he intended to be an engineer, he could not ignore the photographic inner voice that had spoken to him since childhood. Responding to a clear relationship he shared with his visual world, Carl vigorously pursued photojournalism, and since 1991 has served his community through his work at the Miami Herald. He has received numerous awards for his work, from Picture of the Year, Pulitzer Prize, Society for News Design, Best of Photojournalism, and the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award. He is founder of both the IPC Visual Lab and Iris Photo Collective. So please help me welcome Carl Juste.
What an introduction. What an introduction. I'm going to stand up because I hate to sit and I'm not going to lecture to y'all. We're going to have a dialogue, a conversation. Right? Images are the children of the visual language. The visual language is your primary language. Without the visual language, none of the things that you enjoy in the arts could work. None of us can be connected. The visual language is our global language. Because pain in Hong Kong is like pain in Haiti. Jubilation in New York is the same jubilation in Tokyo. So these images, they rely on one principle, that the photographer and the viewer get the big picture. Get the overreaching theme or the overreaching meaning, right? Why is that important? Anybody can tell me why is that important? Why is it important that we get the overreaching theme? Anybody? Anybody? It's last. Wait, let me come down, wait, go.
Because that's a photograph, that's the end result. That's what you're communicating to the person. That's ultimately what you're trying to convey.
Good point. But when I say overreaching, right, what does that require for not only physically to do, but also mentally to do? If I'm overreaching, if I'm trying to get an idea around all of y'all, what do I need to do? I need to tap into your humanity. Right? Am I wrong? You can tell me if I'm wrong. Hey, raise my hand if you think I'm wrong. Okay, I guess I'm right. Okay? But what does that mean in terms of documentary photography? Why in the HEW double toothpicks would I care about getting the overreaching theme? I'll tell you why. Because it's never about me. It's always about the image. See, that is what allow many of us in sitting in this room put our own bodies in the way that will allow us to sit and sleep in cold nights, be away from our families, miss Christmases. It's not because we're collecting a check, because we're trying to speak. We're trying to convey the big picture. And in the process of conveying the big picture, guess what happens? We create art. Art not in terms of its aesthetics. Of course, they're beautiful images. But art in terms of its process. What makes photojournalism art? I asked that question to Bernice Steinbaum. We had a nice, heated, but cordial discussion about why photojournalism is art. She said, well, art, photojournalism it's on newspapers. It's not, it's not permanent. It's here one day and it's gone and you move on to the next. But I said, Bernice, you forgot one thing. Photojournalism has a broad arch. Its narrative, its arch is humongous. And though that paper may be gone, that memory is not. Because all photography is, it is the verification of memory. Photography, photojournalism specifically, is the most contemporary of all art forms. Because it operates on three time zones: the past, the present, and the future. When was the last time you remembered a video? You'll try hard to remember when was the last time you remembered a picture. It could be your mother. It could be your cousin. It could be a beautiful scene. When we're covering Hurricane Andrew, and I've covered different disasters, and when I ask people, what is the most loss that you have? What's the thing of value that you have lost? They said pictures. Why is that? Why is it you have to see it to believe it? No one ever says you have to hear it to believe it. No one says, oh, you got to taste it to believe it. Why is the verification of sight so important, even to the blind? Stevie Wonder, an amazing musician, lost his sight, I think at 6 years old. He sees. He sees. If you listen to his music, you could actually see the narrative unfolding. So I'm going to show you this project some of us in here was involved with called Eyewitness. And this is the process of me trying to convey to Bernice Steinbaum that pictures, photojournalism is art.
I think the breadth of this show is the amount of photographers involved and the amount of images. 25 photographers, 50 images, and probably 25 different storylines that will come from here. I mean, the images that are on the wall here are from events that have tremendous impact on our society and on individuals too. And some of these right in our own backyard here.
During the process of putting the show together, I wanted the humanity of the world to come back at the viewer. I wanted you, when you walk through the gallery, to be taken and transported to places where you might not be comfortable being at a certain time or moment. I also wanted the balance. I wanted the joy and the pain and the conflict of living on this planet.
I think it's hauntingly beautiful. The reaction of the audience has been extraordinary. And I think there will be very few people who see this show that will not think that these are artists. These artists are dealing with truths, those truths that we often don't want to see and know about.
Each photograph is really different, and it shows different events, different moments in time, different cultures, different issues. It's really varied, and so it has this sort of rounded picture of life on Earth and life among human beings, and it encompasses love and happiness and tragedy and just all of the emotions, and it's very powerful. It is
a time capsule in which those who visit this gallery can see the human tragedy and the human triumph. So this back and forth discussion, I'm gonna stay right here in the light. This back and forth discussion with Bernice, it was interesting because we both wanted to get to the center, right? We all wanted to get the big picture, and we all wanted to understand how these aesthetics affect not only the viewer, but what kind of value we could put on them. See, unlike, and there's nothing against studio photographers, there's nothing still life photographers, there's nothing against painters. But photojournalists, we operate in a whole different sense of time. We could be faster than light, and we could be slower than molasses. We have to take the shape of whatever vessel that we're in. You know, I always tell my students, I said, I want to be either the blade of grass or the shape of water. So that is the art. The art is not necessarily the product, but the art is the process. When you look at a piece by a photojournalist, you can trust it. Because if you can't trust it, to me, it's not art. Not photojournalism art. It could be, you know, fine art, but it's not photojournalism art. Because that truth is where the weight of the value exists. So, what does this have to do with all this going on here? Well, we're in a very peculiar position in this country. The fourth estate is anemic because the population rather get their fake news than get their real news. We may have some problems in speaking to power in the next 4 years. That's not only here, that's a global phenomenon that's occurring. See, we rather be entertained than be informed. I'm gonna say that again. We'd rather be entertained than informed. You can't blame those who are entertaining you. You're the audience. So, where do we go from here? How do we get the bigger picture? How do we keep this alive? Well, if we establish that photojournalism is art, then that would be nice to have a newspaper, that would be nice to be shown on a website. Though someone can pay you to do a project. But what's more important, we become the capsule of truth. And that is what we need the most now more than ever. We are now in yellow journalism 2.0. If you don't believe me, just go online. See how many pictures have been doctored up, fake stories, fake names. At Iris Photo Collective, we don't treat people like props. People are a microphone. They're our storytellers. I don't ever give a voice to anyone. I just amplify it. So, having said that, right, that's the value. Because that's happening in real time. In real time. When someone gets hit and he flies in the air and you compose that image and the woman that's viewing this event is in tears and you capture all of that in that single frame. It's not that it's decisive. It's that it exists in 3 different times. I'm going to say that one more time because every time I meet a student, well, the decisive moment, I understand the concept and I like it, but I think there's a new age in photojournalism. There's a new goal that we need to establish. We need to extend time. Because time is the only thing that we really need. Because time allows us to have that overreaching arch, and time allows us to get the bigger picture. Anybody has any questions?
So,
Go ahead.
so in your close-ups, are you saying that you are looking for some sort of a perspective that ends at some sort of human truth, something of that sort? There's a vanishing point within your close-ups that will get to your concept of what the truth might be?
I'm looking for a place where I can intersect with my subject. I'm looking for a place, no matter if I'm in Iraq, if I'm in Haiti, if I'm in Cuba, where I can see that person as a human being and just solely than just someone who's crying on the side of the street. I'm looking for the vein that connects us. I'm looking for the conduit. Because if I don't find a conduit, then I'm just exploiting another black person. You know, a lot of wars, people go to Africa and they win a lot of wars in Africa, right? If you choose all the Pulitzers have been won, not to say anything that these photographers don't care, yes, they do care. They care a lot. But when we start talking about getting the bigger picture, we have to have other conversations in that dialogue. It can't be pain and suffering without jubilation and triumph. And that's the truth I'm talking about. Because the narrative does not occur on a singular line. It's not a singular line, a beginning and an end. It's placed that way because it's easier to organize. But truth works because it's circular. Because there's nothing new underneath the sun. We may think everything we do is unique, but I'm finding out as I get older, wow, this thing happened before like 1,000 years before me. The concepts that we have revolve. And hopefully as they revolve, they move forward. And that's the evolution. Yes?
Hearing you speak about the narrative and talking about the truth, I feel like in photojournalism, what makes photojournalism what it is when you look at an image is an image. You're not you can't look at an image and, oh, like here's the story of the image, because it's more objective in a way. And I feel like with photojournalism, the narration is given to you through when you look at it objectively,
right,
and the information's there. So with the information that's given to you in the image is how you conclude, and that's where I feel like your fourth sense of truth comes from.
Maybe. But let me say this to you. You can't look at any great picture objectively. What, you going to measure it? What you going to do? Oh, that color is nice. That blue is great. Those pictures don't do anything for me, at least for me. What draws me and holds my attention is because it gives me a memory that I cannot forget. And that cannot be measured.
Right, but as a photojournalism, you're trying to convey truth. And
Right, right.
Truth can only be seen if what I'm seeing is there.
Right, if what you're seeing, if you came to the agreement that what you're seeing is the truth.
Correct.
That's the problem. When you go and you present something and saying, well, I shot this, and you hear the story. I went over 10 mountains, I had to cross an alligator, and I had to beat up a hog, and then I made this picture. And then you find out that this guy paid this guy $10 to pose in front of this thing and snapped it and walked away. We're constantly being fooled, right? Trust is a commodity in our personal relationships, in our business activities, even in our art. Because sometimes I feel like I can't make a damn good picture. I mean, I tried and I can't make a picture. But I trust that I will. Right? And that is the problem. That's the truth that we have to hold on, is that trust. That we can believe in what we're seeing. That byline, Patrick Farrell, C.W. Griffin, has weight. Because that person is operating from a point of not deception, but from a point of elevation. How can that be objective? I'm not asking you the question, I'm just making a statement. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But as an art form, it cannot be objective.
Well, I feel like in photography, part of it, because we agree, photography is a visual language.
Right.
But in the end, art, what is art? Art is a communication, of visual communication, regardless of what it is that you're trying to convey. Me trying to communicate something with you. I feel like with photography, and especially what's so beautiful about photojournalism, especially when you have photojournalists that excel at what they do, is that they make sure that what is in the frame and what they provide for me in the frame is the information that I need. I don't have to draw.
Right. So you're talking about content. You're talking about content versus context. I get that. That's your point is valid. But I'm not talking about what I am doing. I'm talking about the response from the viewer point. When the viewer is watching it, like I cannot listen to Strange Fruit at all without getting mad. I can't because it's so damn real. I could see it, I could smell it. That's art. Because art will not allow you to be neutral. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't allow you to be neutral. It allows you to take a stand. You're either on this side of the fence or you're on that side of the fence. You're not going to ride the fence when it comes to art. And let the chips fall where they fall. Because that's the courage that photojournalists put out. They start that courage the minute they kiss their kids goodbye. The minute they land off, put their feet on the ground. And they don't stop running until they find that truth. If you don't believe me, there's a couple of them right here, you could ask them. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's the trust I'm talking about. The trust in the energy, the trust in the follow-through, and the belief that the image you produce expands the moment, not contracts it. That you get the bigger picture. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Thanks, Carl.
By the way, that's only my opinion. It's not law. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the magnum photographer Richard Moss, who did the Congo series?
Yes, I am. I mean, I cannot bring up a picture of it specifically in my head right now, but yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Right. Just talking about art intersecting with photojournalism, can you speak to those images or doing a project like that, especially like in terms of like exploitative work versus?
That's a good point. And in the process of creating art, in the process of seeking truth, not again, people talk about truth as it's some absolute. Truth lies in the gray zones. See, truth is the Ansel Adams of philosophers. You know, he has that gradation from dark to pure white. So it lies in that gray zone. And when you're working under dire situation, let's say earthquake, and you see, which by the way, I will show you, and you see these conditions, you ask yourself, why am I shooting this? Am I shooting it in turn because it's going to evoke a visceral reaction, or I'm shooting this in order to tell and capture that moment? And that's the trick, because many of us in here have placed our cameras down. I've done it. I said, I'm not shooting this. Because I knew what I was seeing was not really the truth, it was something that someone wanted me to see because they wanted a reaction. And I'm going to give you a good case in point. I was in Haiti in 2000, I think it was 2003 or 4. And apparently this man they took his whole flesh off his face. And they paraded, they left it somewhere everybody could see. And all these photographers ran down, them take the pictures, man. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that patsy. You know, we describe this as photo porn, right? Like photojournalism porn or poverty porn. That the only mission is to draw a reaction. That's not my work. I don't care about that. I'm not risking my life to get you to scream or cry. I'm just not. And this young photographer, I pulled him aside. He said, I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down. Aren't you going to go? I said, no, I'm not going to go. He goes, he comes back, and he shows me the pictures. And I said, then what? So what? So now you give me an example of man's brutality. What context? Do you know who this man is? No. Do you know why he got killed? No. Then why are you showing it to me? If you can't tell me the context, if you can't tell me the backstory, then I don't want to see it, because then you're just being lazy. You're going for the lower fruit. So if you're out in the Congo, or you're doing stories on kid soldiers, or you're doing a story on let's say an uprising, there has to be an overlying theme, because no great photographer's worth is his dignity or his name if he cannot back his pictures up. I will defend every picture I ever made. If anybody comes and tests me, and it's happened, I've been out talking, people come, how dare you take that picture? And I'm like, wait, calm down. Calm down. Because, well, it's exploitive. I said, why? Because it affects me. I said, now we can have a conversation. And that's what images do. Images are just solely mirrors. They're mirrors of our values. They're mirrors of where we are today. The photographer I was 10 years ago is not the photographer I was 5 years ago. And it's definitely not the photographer that I'm now. We have to give ourselves the right to change. Because life works that way. Nothing remains the same but change, right? So when you're shooting stuff that has that kind of crazy balance, that someone may come up to you and say, you know, you're being exploitive, or this is a poverty porn, then you should have had that question in your head before you push the shutter. Because if you can't defend it, don't make it. And don't tell me that crap is I'm just doing my job. You get the big middle finger for that. You get the big middle finger. It's not your job. It's your passion. If it's not your passion, get out the way, because you don't own that story. They do. And right now it's on loan to you. And that you are the caretaker of that moment. That's all you are. Otherwise, don't take it. So to answer you, the long answer, you have to, your conscience will tell you. Any more questions?
It seems to me when I see a package of photos in photojournalism, I see these kind of crescendo peak moments, you know.
Yeah.
And let's see, the context I'm going to get back to is like South Africa under reconciliation, the need to calm things down, the need for people to come together. And it's a difficult thing. There are a lot of tendernesses going on in there. There's a lot of animosity. There's a reason to feel justified that your story gets out. It's pretty difficult to do something like that. You're going to be you're not going to be crescendo moments in a situation like that. And I'm wondering how, you know, as a photojournalist, you may have approached that kind of thing, because you're getting beyond, as you're saying, you're getting beyond the frame, you're getting beyond the moment of crescendo, of zenith, heights, and all that sort of thing.
Well, you know, I am moved by the slight breeze as much as I'm moved by a hurricane winds. I'm moved because I feel. I think it's harder to be a photographer that can feel on the micro level. And there's a lot of great photographers who do that. Bruce Davison. Okay, you look at his images, and there's not a whole lot of people screaming. There's not a whole lot of people getting shot or killed, but he actually captures something that's even more elusive. He captures the essence. And sometimes that appears to you in a whisper. And you have to know when and how to gauge your ears, how to gauge your eyes. Just like when you walk outside, the sun is bright, and you know, your eyes adjust, right? You come inside, and your eyes adjust, right? I've seen beautiful pictures made by candlelight, by a single candlelight that's been made by the rising sun. You have to open yourself to the truth. You have to ask yourself, what am I experiencing? What am I experiencing? Why am I experiencing it? And what I'm going to do with it. And if you can't give a good answer to those 3 questions, then just put the camera down until you know. Because I'm telling you, this world's not, it hasn't gotten any bigger, hasn't gotten any smaller, just has more eyes looking and more ears listening. And someone's going to come, they're going to test you. And I'm not saying you got to get defensive, but I am saying you have to be able to communicate and articulate your position. There's a question in the back there. And what is your name?
My name's Veronica. Hi, it's
Hey,
me.
Veronica.
Hey. How do you deal then with, I guess you have like a day-to-day conflict all that, because you're working for the journalists, right?
Yes, I am.
They send you out to assignments.
Yes, they do.
So, and you have to deliver for the newspaper or whatever media outlet is hiring you, right?
That's
For
right.
example, I was in Calle Ocho the other night trying to see what was going on. It was a Sunday, the Sunday after Fidel, and what I saw was like a group that was just there for the media. So once the lights would turn on, then they would all start protesting and doing all this stuff for the media. And then when the cameras were not on, it was not the same thing, okay? So in that situation, when it's just like a protest or an event geared towards the media to get the media attention, what would you do? What do you do?
You take the picture, but you put it in context. You know, you take the picture because it's happening in front of you. I didn't tell the people to shout because some TV guy turned it on, but I put it in context. You say, you know, people react as, you know, as television crews come to the rally. You give it context. You know, I mean, I'm less concerned about that because, you know, we act as when we're in the media like, oh, we're in this ivory tower and we're there, we give voices to you, and without us, you're quiet. I'm like, get out of that with that crap. You wouldn't have the media if you didn't have stories. You wouldn't have books if you didn't have someone that had something to say. You wouldn't have beautiful music if it didn't happen here first. So we are a conduit, but we have a strong responsibility because we don't tell stories, we retell stories. We don't own any story that we hear, and we definitely don't own any pictures that we make because there's 3 people involved: the viewer, the subject, and the photographer to make a great image. You take any of those things out, then you're just talking to yourself. And I'm not in the habit of that because they say that's crazy, right? Yeah, right. See? So, you know your audience and just give context to your images. No one's going to fault you for that. No one's going to say, well, she shot that. Yeah, I told you, the media was there, and they reacted, and I shot the picture. Got a problem? But what I won't do, though, what I refuse to do, is to go for the low-lying fruit. I won't do this. So, you got hit by the car. How does it feel? Oh, your kid got hit by the car. Oh, is that him right there? How does that feel? No. Not to draw emotion so I can make a picture. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's dead wrong. That's being a pimp. And I was not raised that way. My crown's been paid for and I wear it well. I'm not playing that game. But what's more important, okay, and this is the theme of this conversation, is that the photographer has a power. He has a power. And he has a power that he has to understand that it's not solely for him to use at his own discretion. He has a responsibility with that power. And this blowback, trust me, we've gotten chased. I have tons of emails. I mean, I have emails like, great, Carl. Then I have a couple that says, you suck. And I keep them. I don't, you're not hurting my feelings. I keep them, I read them over because I say, okay, this is my fuel. This is what's going to make me do the show you saw outside with the kids. Yes, what's going to get me to go and do big picture outside or in Little Haiti. This is what fuels me. Because I just want to know the truth. And I'm not that smart. I'm really not. I am done, though. Thank you so much.